talk about. So in interest of time, I'll stop there. And Bob, if you will share with us about Spiritual Oversight Committee.
You'll be happy to know that I have notes. That way we'll be out of here before lunch. So first thing I wanted to let you know is as he said, I'm the chairman of the Spiritual Oversight Committee. Would those of you who are on the Spiritual Oversight Committee stand, please? So if you've got any issues, these are the guys to talk to. I don't know anything. They're the ones that are on the committee. Okay, thank you, guys. Basically, the Spiritual Oversight Committee is appointed by the Voters Representative Board. Those of us on the Spiritual Oversight Committee we do have decision-making responsibility, and that's one of the things that we do on the first Tuesday of the month is when we meet. If you notice that at Holy Cross we have the Spiritual Oversight Committee, these guys are the ones that are the elders. We also have lay ministers. The difference between the two of us is that the lay ministers are the ones that are involved in the service. They're responsible for the worship services, and they're the ones that serve communion and do that kind of thing. There are some of us that are both lay ministers and elders. The purpose of the Spiritual Oversight Committee is to oversee the pastoral ministry. We are responsible for the well-being, so to speak, of the lead pastor. Part of that is we pray a lot for both of our pastors. The other thing that we do that is a lot of fun to do is annually we do an evaluation of the pastor. We always enjoy that. And that is done by he's here, the idea is that it is done through the VRB and through the Spiritual Oversight Committee, and the lay ministers are the people and the staff are the ones that are involved in doing that evaluation. Once the evaluation is done, a summary report is written that I have the privilege of doing. I write that and then distribute it to the VRB. All of that is done confidentially so that everybody can speak freely about what they say in their evaluation. And pastor sees the summary, and then he and I go over that, and the VRB also gets a report. We encourage the pastor in his work. We meet with him, like I said, once a month. We're concerned about the making sure that he takes the vacation time that he's supposed to take. One of the things that he's good at is saying that he's taking vacation, but he's not really. He's sneaky. The Spiritual Oversight Committee submits the lead pastor's compensation to the VRB. So we initially look at what the district guidelines are and then submit those to the VRB, and that's where the salaries are determined. The other thing that we do is that about every quarter or so, we see a list of the people that have been attending regularly, but then suddenly haven't been for the last 90 days or so. We look at that list, and those of us on the Spiritual Oversight Committee make phone calls and emails. We're not the pew pack police. Some people might think that's what we really do, but the bottom line is it's important to us, to all of us, that people are going to church and they're going to church somewhere. Obviously, it's nice if they go here, but if they go anywhere, we're pleased with that. So the idea is to call them, email them, somehow get in contact with them, and let them know that we miss them, and kind of encourage them to worship somewhere. And the whole idea is to love them back to Jesus, to come back to worship and see that as something that's important. That's something that's important to us. So that's part of our responsibility as well. Any questions for me? Thank you.
Good job, Bob. Our next speaker is Ben Schumacher with, make sure I say it right, Lutheran Child and Family Services of Indiana. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is a bigger group than I thought. But that's good, because I'd love to tell you about Lutheran Child and Family Services, and of course, immediately want to tell you how thankful we are that we have you, and that we have Holy Cross as a tremendous partner in our ministry to with children and with families and with people that are going hungry, if especially this congregation wouldn't be involved. And it's happening right here in our, in our immediate neighborhood, and that's what the exciting thing is. So I thought I'd take a few minutes and give you a little bit an idea of those that do not fully know all the ins and outs. But Lutheran Child and Family Services was founded 1883, so we are one of those older ministries around, and I think if we wouldn't have our churches and our deep belief in Jesus Christ, we might have not been around. So we are in some ways older than many of the most amazing businesses in this country, because we can only do this because we have our belief in Jesus Christ, and we have you, and we have folks in congregations that are stepping up and that love to get involved, and because the work is every day very, very difficult and challenging. So, Sharing Place, who knows about this place? Sharing Place, oh, that's good news, okay, good. So I don't tell you too much about it, but last year we served more than 50,000 people. And the interesting thing is we are focusing on Lawrence Township School area. That's our big partner in that. And I don't know if I see Steve Göcklein here somewhere, but Steve knows very daily about what we do and how we get kids fed through the parents, but it's really, at the end of the day, it's children. And at our meeting a few weeks ago for our volunteers, the superintendent spoke briefly, and he said, kids cannot learn if they are hungry. And Sharing Place is one of those big programs. Of course, you hear a lot of discussion right now, the Farm Bill. Have any of you heard about this Farm Bill? Somewhere in there is a lot of what we do, because it has something to do with the surplus food, and who is eligible, and the whole 9 yards. But it's a big operation. Is that right? It's a big operation. It's a big operation. And it's, of course, basically all run by volunteers with our strategic partners. That's Gleaner's Food Bank. So we are one of those specialty food pantries that is above the regular. I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds of food pantries, and that's a good thing, but there's a few of them that are stepping up on a larger scale, and Sharing Place is one of them. And so challenges are the following. Every Thursday there's a big old truck from Gleaner's coming in, and it has 7,000, sometimes 8,000 pounds of food. And to get that from the truck into the Sharing Place is one of the major challenges, because we have about 90 volunteers out there, but most of them are a little older. And that means that getting the big heavy boxes with frozen chicken and all of these kind of things has in the last few years become more of a challenge. The more we have grown, the more of that is a challenge. So we're trying to get some of the students involved at the Sharing Place. There are some students in that building. For the most part, it's an administrative building, and so we are always looking at that. But we always enjoy some volunteers that can lift 25 pounds and up. And I'm kind of getting into this group where I'm not one of those, So that's one of the challenges. And of course, your support comes in through the people, the prayers, but some of your, of your donations. Very, very important, because we always have to buy some food on top of the food that is donated by folks like this church. And so we send some money towards gleaners, and then we get so and so many pounds of food. One amazing thing happened last year, and this is kind of an interesting model. Your neighbors, the Lutheran church down the street, came up with this glorious idea when there was the Myers $1 for 3 kind of, I don't know how this works, but it's gift cards. And they invested in them, and so right now we're basically every week going to Myers and buy food by more or less by the pallet that can help us to sustain things. So that's a marvelous ministry, and I want to thank you for your support. They are in our area a lot of need, and it's unevenly distributed. You know, the further north we get, the less need there is, but down there on the south parts of our areas, there's a lot of food. The last thing I want to quick tell you, because that's a ministry that is really the ministry of our church. We have a man by the name of Brady. And Brady Gurganius is our spiritual life director at Lutherwood. And at Lutherwood we have today about 60 young people that live with us. We are, for the time that they are with us, they are abused and neglected children from all over the state of Indiana. And they are living with us, so we are their parents. And they're not leaving like the students here at some time and coming back the next morning. They're there 24 hours, 7 days a week. And we have really, with the help of Pastor McLean and Pastor Sattler and many of the other pastors, being encouraged in the last years to be much more forceful in bringing the good news to those children. That's how we started out, 1883. It was not because there needed to be yet another orphanage built. It was really, there needed to be an orphanage built that was faith-based. That was the big thing. And about 6 years ago, Lutheran Child and Family Services made a very important arrangement with Community Hospital. And Community Hospital is helping us to take care of the psychological and psychiatric and trauma and all of those type of medical issues of our children at Lutherwood. And so that freed us time. You remember this discussion, Pastor, to free us up to really go after the spiritual needs of our young people. And you can imagine a 6, 7-year-old who has been already in 3 foster cares and has never really had a family, that young person has a lot of spiritual concerns. And Brady just told us a story the other day that we have a chapel there. And every Wednesday we have chapel, and one of these 7-year-old boys got into the chapel and he saw the cross, and he asked Brady, "What is this?" And that, I think, encouraged us every day to get the information out, because there are children out there in our own neighborhoods, not very far from here, that have never heard about the healing and redemptive power of Jesus Christ. And we are excited to tell it, and that's one of those programs that when you're thinking about your support that you're giving to Lutheran Child and Family Service, a good part of that is going into that ministry to help Brady and help all of our pastors around here to reach out and walk beside these young people that we have at Lutherwood. Is that about what you like to hear? I can talk a little longer. I just want you to know how much I love this church. I always enjoy coming here because we have a 10-year-old. His name is Conrad. Some people know him. He's a 4th grader at your amazing school, and we always enjoy hearing every day something about what's going on, and we're very, very thankful for the work that you do, not only for Lutheran Child and Family Services, but for us, for our family. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sven. Michelle Stockel will talk about Dorcas Group now. And I know Michelle's very involved in sharing places.
Yeah, I love it. Like I say, the boss, but he doesn't pay well. You know? Well, I was hoping to use technology, but my technology was a little higher than what they have here. So here's my slide presentation that's not going to get used. I'd like to say good morning. I am Michelle Stockel. I am the chairperson of the Dorcas Group, and I'm going to go with old-fashioned read it. We are a group of women, approximately 16, committed to using our time and talents to serve the Lord and one another in our surrounding neighborhoods and communities. Our name was derived from the creative and charitable disciple Dorcas. She is mentioned in Acts chapter 9, beginning with verse 36. In Joppa, there was a disciple named Tabitha, which is Aramaic, which when translated is Dorcas, Greek, who was always doing good and helping the poor. Showing him, Peter, the robes and other clothing that Dorcas had made. So the Dorcas group started here at Holy Cross Lutheran Church in January of 2011. Prior to that, it was a Lutheran Women's Missionary League group. We meet on the third Tuesday of every month here at Holy Cross at 11 o'clock a.m. in room 141, the one right behind the sanctuary. Currently, the Dorcas group is providing handicraft items to 7 different nonprofit or not-for-profit agencies, which include Community North Hospital in Indianapolis, Crochet for Cancer, Indianapolis, Ronald McDonald House, Indianapolis, Hope House, Greenfield, Lutheran Child and Family Services, Lutherwood, Indianapolis, and Sharing Place, Lawrence Township, Holy Cross Lutheran School, and Holy Cross Lutheran Church. And during the past 12 months, this is where I wanted my slides, because I really don't want to bore you with all these numbers, we have made and donated 49 preemie bags to Community North Hospital, 76 surgery buddies for Community North Hospital, 248 Christmas stockings from Community Hospital North, 12 preemie blankets, Community Hospital North. Obviously, we do a lot of stuff for Community Hospital North. 13 fidget muffs, 22 different types of quilted, crocheted, knitted lap robes for Community Hospital North, Hope House, and actually members of Holy Cross Lutheran Church, and that is the prayer shawl ministry that we're working with. 193 preemie children's and adult hats for Community Hospital North, Lutheran Child and Family Services, both Lutherwood and Sharing Place, and Crochet for Cancer. 15 baby Afghans and quilts, lay-up bags, receiving blankets, prayer shawls, ouch bags for the school, those are fun to make, and then 50 pillowcases that we send to Hope House and Ronald McDonald House. In all, the Dorcas Group women have logged over 1,300 hours of volunteer work in the past 12 months. So we are a very active group. How can you help? If you enjoy knitting, crocheting, looming, sewing, or just need some good girl time, consider becoming a member of our group. We have never had any male interest, but if any of you men are interested in crafting, don't feel excluded. Come and join us. See what we're all about. Our next business meeting will be here on July 17th at 11 o'clock, again in room 141. Another way you can help is if you enjoy making hats, scarves, prayer shawls, Afghans, quilts, etc., and not attending a group setting, we have patterns available for most of our projects. You can make and donate your handcraft items to the Dorcas group, and then we will distribute them to the different agencies we support. Another way you can help is as you're cleaning out your stuff for the garage sale, or whatever you call it, rummage sale here, if you have yarn or fabric, we can always use that to turn it into the crafts that we make. We go through a lot of yarn and fabric. Another way you can help is if any of you are Thrivent members, you can apply for an action grant on behalf of the Dorcas group. And a Thrive It member is allowed twice a year to apply for $250. And we can use that to buy the fabric, the yarn, or the different items that we use. We're basically, I think the word is called self-funded. We pretty much take the money out of our pockets to do the type of things we do. Anybody have any questions? Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Next, we'll have Kathy Magazi and Comfort Care Ministry.
Good morning. Good morning. The best way to understand what we do at Team Naomi is really to start at the beginning, because this ministry is about God having His way. Years ago, my husband and I moved to Indiana from California to be with our daughter and her family, and never in our wildest dreams did we ever think we were going to move to the Midwest. People asked, why would you move from California? Beautiful place, right? What's wrong with you? Now I know the problem. We were really living in the wrong place. God thought we should live here. As a young girl in California, I raised and trained guide dogs, German Shepherds, Black Labs, but specifically Golden Retrievers. And I loved it. I loved the dogs, wanted to be around dogs, wanted to be in a dog-related ministry, but life happens. Got married, had a family, became a teacher, and finally moved to Indiana. I went to work at a large Christian school in Indy, but that didn't work out. I wondered what I would do next, and into my life strolled Karen Geiger, principal here at Holy Cross, and she says, why don't you come and work for me? Well, God was having His way again, and I was soon working again. And from the first time my husband drove us here onto this campus, we realized what a wonderful place it really is. Have you ever noticed the sweet spirit here at Holy Cross? We were instantly happy, but God had a plan. After school one day, I found a business card on the floor of my classroom, and the card had a picture of a Golden Retriever on it. So I was very interested. On it, it identified the dog as Rosie Comfort Dog. Rosie had come from Columbus, Ohio, with her top dog, Mary, to visit the kids in our after-school program. How did this come about? Our church secretary, Lynn Conlon, is from Columbus, Ohio, and she connected with Mary to arrange the visit. A child in my 5th grade class was in after school, received Rosie's business card, but as a typical 5th grader, things started coming out of her desk, and I found the business card on the floor as I was cleaning up. Another God moment. It took 18 months for us to arrange for Naomi to come. I received tremendous support from Pastor Sattler and Pastor McLean. Thank you very much. A Naomi staff of 7 handlers, 2 of which are veterans, and 20 helpers were recruited and trained. Everything that was needed had fallen into place. Have you ever been driving down the street and all the lights just seem to turn green as you get to the corner? Well, that's how it seemed, even though it was a long time. Another God moment. And Naomi came to Holy Cross. The ministry of Naomi Comfort Dog is very successful. We have been all over Indiana and Illinois, letting Naomi do her job to comfort people. She works here at Holy Cross in the classroom, goes to church each week, visits fire stations, police departments, and rest homes. She visited the city of Kokomo after the tornadoes, and thus we gained 2 more handlers. She goes to other churches, other schools, scout programs, and community events. Naomi helped grieving students at Jennings County High School recently after the death of 2 of their students. From her contacts with sick children, she has been invited to attend a child's birthday party in Rosedale, Indiana, and will be at a high school graduation party next weekend as the guest of honor. The ministry is still expanding. We are reaching out everywhere and waiting for invitations so Team Naomi can bring relief to more hurting people. Officially, the Comfort Dog mission is to allow the dog to act as a bridge, enabling team members time to have conversations and pray. Bridges, you know, support and connect, and that is what Naomi does. And this is just the start of her ministry. To help you understand what Naomi and her team do more specifically, I submit the following statistics. Naomi works 4 to 5 days per week at Holy Cross Lutheran School, greeting and helping young students read, deal with anxiety, and bring them comfort. She attends 1 to 2 worship services in the fellowship time each week. Each handler spends 2 to 5 hours per week training Naomi and on or with her during the missions. 3 to 5 rest homes, hospices, or rehabilitation hospitals are visited each week, and we're working on another one to add to our list in Noblesville. Wheeler Mission is visited 2 times per month, and in addition, she attends several community events each month. The ones that are coming up in June are the Strut to Save Lives through Indiana Donor Network and the IMPD North District 12th Annual Community Day. That is coming up in June. And the latest addition to her calendar is that our team has been invited to Methodist Hospital in downtown Indy to begin helping to de-stress the medical staff there. On behalf of Naomi and her team of dedicated handlers, helpers, and team volunteers, I want to thank you who have supported, championed, and endorsed our ministry. You are greatly appreciated. If you want to join our team, we have a place for you. Please contact me and we'll get you trained and connected to our team members going out each and every day to serve our Lord. Remember, Naomi is just a dog, but she's a really cool dog. But she's still a dog. And look at what happens when God has a plan for a dog and a team of volunteers. Look at how many people's lives she has touched on a daily basis. Team Naomi are the hands and feet and paws taking the message of God's love to our hurting community. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kathy. You're doing really well on time. Is Pastor still in here somewhere? Yeah, there he is. There. We hope that we'd have a few minutes left. Pastor might give a preview of the strategic plan that he and the staff are working on. But I just thinking, sitting there in the chair, that I always forget to tell you who I am.
Oh, we know you.
Yeah. My name is Roger Toms. My wife Jan and I have been members here almost 9 years. I'm in my 5th year of being on the Voters Representative Board, and before that I served on the Spiritual Oversight Committee with Bob and Chad. But we've been here almost 9 years now, and I have to tell you, I just love being here. I love the volunteering. But it's so important for our active members to know who we are and what we do, like the sharing place, like Dorcas, like the dog ministry, the Comfort Dog ministry, and all the other things, because we have new people come in and they ask questions. Well, why don't we do this, or why don't we do that, or who do I talk to about this, or who do I talk to about that? You don't have to be actively involved in it to know about it, or to know who to contact, or who to point them to. And just encourage them to keep asking until they find the right person who's going to lead them to what they're looking for, what they're seeking. Because chances are, we as a church are doing it. We just need to let everyone else know we're doing it. So I want to thank you for being here, Pastor.
I'm a space filler. I feel loved. I'll tell you, when I first heard about covered dog ministry, I was real leery. I thought, what a deal. The pastor that I saw with the dog was walking around with the dog at a conference, and I thought, man, he needs a life. I thought, what can you do with a dog? But I'm a convert, mostly through Calvary, just because of the bridge. Walk up to anybody and say, I want to talk to you about Jesus. They will look at you the same way I looked at the dog, and they will go, I don't think so. Walk up with the dog, and they will pet the dog and love on the dog, and it actually says on there, please pet me. So you pet the dog, and then they'll ask what this is about. Now you can talk about Jesus. Gives you permission. It's a great ministry, and she works a lot. She works harder than I do, so it's nice to hear what she's doing. June 24th is our voters' assembly meeting, where we're actually going to do some electing and so on. We'll present the strategic plan for the next year. Our staff has been working on that, as well as the VRB. So we're working on a strategic plan, is our operations for the next year. We're also developing a long-range plan. We had a long-range plan that ended in 2018, but we did most of everything by 2015 or something. So we need a new long-range plan for the next 10 years. And when we did the math on that, that's 2028. Just seems like way into the future for some reason, but it's going to be here sooner than we expect. But what I wanted to update you on, in case we didn't have time at the Voters Assembly meeting, was to let you know that you're going to see a bunch of projects going on around here. And I didn't want people to think that somehow we came into some, somebody, gave us money and now we're doing all this. We have applied for grants. And if you know where to apply for grants, there's all kinds of grants available. If you worship at Creative Praise 11 o'clock service, you've already seen the lights. There are some new lights that are dimmable. They can actually do some pretty cool things with colors, and the guy who knows what he's doing with it made it look like the whole room was underwater and we were floating underwater. So we could do some, we want to do that during church, but there's all kinds of neat things you can do with them for the kids, school plays and stuff. So that was funded by a grant. Also on the stage, you don't know it yet, but there's a capability of standing on the stage and using your laptop. Before, if you wanted to use your laptop, you had to go upstairs to the AV room. That's the way it was set up, and it was complicated. So now we added some technology to enable you to stand on the stage, use a laptop, and the video wall. Starting in June, the playground is going to be revamped, and all of the mulch removed, and what's called poured surface will be placed in there, which is a rubber surface, solid rubber surface, and it's handicap accessible. So kids can use that playground and one behind us here as well. That was a substantial grant, and we are pleased to have the monies for that. 2020, the city of Lawrence is going to, Indianapolis is involved too, because that corner is Indianapolis. Oak Landing Road is a division between Indianapolis and Lawrence. This side is Lawrence, that side is Indianapolis. So the intersection is going to get a traffic light. Yay. Okay, so we're excited about that. And the city, we asked if we could be part of that, and they said, certainly. So the city is going to add a cutout for us, so it'll be a four-way light with a traffic light for us, and turn lanes, and all the, those little triggers that tell you when you're there, and the lights will respond and so on, which allows us to get out. But they will pay, the city's going to cover 70 feet in the right-of-way, and then we have to pay for the rest of it. So we got a grant to pay for the new drive that will come into the campus and allow us to get out of here. If you've ever been here in the mornings for school drop-off and pick up in the evenings, it's a nightmare trying to get out of here. We have police officers, but I think one of them is going to die one of these days with the traffic out here. So we're really grateful for the grant to be able to pay for that. We also applied for a grant and got it to change the video wall in the gym. It is the old square format. The new format is what's called 16 by 9, widescreen TVs, and we're going to update that. And so they bought we're going to buy the new panels to make it wide. They don't make the panels anymore. So they can't expand it the way it is. So now we're back to the drawing board trying to figure out how to change that video wall, but they think they have something in mind. It's amazing to me, this 3 years, the technology changed so much they don't even make it anymore. So the guy said probably what happened is that they make it, but now it's better. That's what they always do for everything. Your new phone, they don't make them cheaper. They make them the same price, but more technology on it. So anyway, those are some of the things that will be going on next few weeks. And just know that we have been very blessed to find some funding for all these things. And we're grateful for people's generosity. Any questions about anything? Yeah, Mike?
When we get these grants, are there conditions where they say, are they onerous conditions?
They are, you have to spend this amount of money on these things, and it's just like any grant that you get. And they want reporting. You have to tell them what it went for, how much it cost, and what we actually spent, all that stuff. So, and then follow up every 6 months that it actually enhanced the ministry.
Where do you get the grants from?
There's a couple of different ones, but there's some private family grants that we applied, and they all have different, playground accessibility grants are different than driveway grants, but there's monies available. Okay. Anything else? Close with prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessing of this ministry here. The Holy Spirit seems alive and well in this place, and we are grateful for all the things that we're involved in for the purpose of extending the kingdom of God to more people. We ask your blessing in all that we're doing here and all these different ministries, and thank you for the willingness of people to volunteer to make it happen. And pray that you would work in us and through us so we have a greater impact on our community. In your name we pray. Amen.